Hello, I'm Naomi Paxton. Now, Madame Tussaud is probably the most well-known and famous waxwork exhibitor and showwoman of the 19th century. But 50 years before she was born, another woman was storming the London waxwork scene. Her name was Mrs. Salmon, and her waxworks emporium, well, just one of them, was in that building you can see behind me now, 17 Fleet Street. She had over 100 wax figures on display. Her life-size figures included representations of kings and queens, of actresses, of pastoral scenes, and of figures from fairy tales and folklore and public history. In one of her handbills, she described them as all richly dressed and composed with so much variety of invention that it is wonderfully diverting to all lovers of art and ingenuity. This building is the only one that remains that would have held Mrs. Salmon's waxworks. So I've just stepped a few metres away from that original site of 17 Fleet Street to think about what might be a good statue, a good way of representing Mrs. Salmon. So I think it would have to be outside 17 Fleet Street because that's the only building that remains that we know she exhibited at. And she always had a salmon outside of the building, obviously. So I think it should be a salmon, but I think it should be motion activated. So when visitors move underneath it, it twitches. This is because Mrs. Salmon famously had clockwork waxworks as part of her exhibition, and some that were even triggered by hidden treadles on the floor. At one of the other sites, a figure of old Mother Shipton would literally kick visitors out of the exhibition when they happened to walk over a hidden treadle in the wooden floor. So I think it should be motion activated. When visitors walk underneath it, they should hear it twitch. But I also think it should cast a light. And if we're looking at the dates that Mrs. Salmon was alive, but also that her waxwork exhibition continued, I think we're looking broadly from the 1700s up to the late 1800s or the mid 1800s. So I would say from 5 p.m, so 1700 hours, to 7 p.m, 1900 hours, every day, there should be a light that shines on the salmon and creates a figure of it on the pavement in front of visitors. So that can move too if it's twitching as they walk under it, but between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock, a light shines to show the salmon on the floor, on the pavement outside of the original Waxworks Emporium site. So I can just imagine visitors walking towards Fleet Street, seeing the shadow of a salmon on the pavement, looking up and then seeing the figure of a salmon shaking, twitching above them.